Stand for they're made with love.
All righty, I'm gonna call the August 13th meeting to order. And I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
To approve.
Is there a second?
I can second.
Everybody's seconding and thirding. Are there any all in favor? How about anybody opposed to them? The quicker way to ask it, right? All right. We will move on then. Good morning, how are you? Good, thank you. Might steal your bag when you leave.
We can trade.
Okay.
We can trade.
Visitors' comments.
We have no folks that have indicated so, and I don't have any online. Just by way of introduction, Katie, I don't know if you met Renee Tyler. Were you here at our introductory meeting? Deputy City Manager Renee Tyler.
I'm Renee. Nice to meet you.
And again, for all those online and millions watching at home, at some point Renee and I will transition as we go through the winter months. And Renee will take over as your staff member. So.
Thank you. Thank you. All righty, since we have no visitors' comments, we have old business rooftop lighting update.
So I have contacted Hoffman Brothers Electric. They have agreed to take over the contract and move forward on all the repairs. So we have a new contact, Holland, that will be connecting with you today. Because my point is anyone object to me switching contractors? I don't think anyone will after we've had such a problem of getting things done. So don't hear any. So they will be in contact today, Holland, to schedule your repair. And then they'll be moving forward on the Blue Dahlia building, which I can never remember what the name of that building is. Looking at Fran.
I don't either.
So with the
Eric.
estimation.
How you doing?
Will
Yes,
they be contacting email or do you have my cell phone?
I do have your cell phone. They're gonna have
Perfect.
all of it, but I'm gonna tell them to start by email so that you have names and numbers and all that kind of stuff that way. Does that work for you?
Awesome, thank you.
Will they be coming down? Will they be doing across the street too?
At the Hagen Properties?
Yes.
That's, yes, so I have to connect with Bob and make sure we have access and connect them to him and all that, but
Do you need anything?
no, I've got Bob's information.
Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent.
I think for this commission, in the past, we've done frontage buildings. Now Bob had asked to have his two sort of setback buildings lighted as well, so we're gonna get them estimated, but that's a decision I'm gonna bring back to you about. Do you want to pay to have setback buildings lit, rooftop lighting, okay?
And then will they reach out?
They'll reach out direct to you. I'm sorry.
Perfect.
Yes, they're
Just
gonna reach out
making sure.
direct to you. I know that was a private matter, but yes.
Yeah,
Connected to you, so
Thank you.
moving forward on that.
Thank you. Let's, in case John comes on, let's skip B for the moment and we'll come back, can we?
Sounds good.
Okay, let's look at the printed business brochure. So Fran and I met yesterday and kind of discussed this, and at our last meeting, we talked about putting it out there for everybody in the district. In Fran's research, that turns out to be about 140 different businesses, so there's technically not enough room to do that. So Old Webster's have, good morning, have maybe about, I don't know, 50 on it. Yeah, about that. So with that being said, we need to at least talk about or take perhaps a different approach to getting that done and seeing what we may or may not want to do to go forward with it. Last time we did this was what, 2010?
Yes.
Yeah.
In 2010.
So here's Old Webster's. So there's not enough to put everybody on.
But I want to be clear, you'd end up with a very yellow page style listing, right? You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's gonna be very, very small print
Mhm.
if you did everybody
And probably just a list
Just
at that.
pretty much a
I mean,
list,
not
yeah.
Much of a description. So any thoughts on this? On an approach? Should it be considered maybe the shoppable, eatable?
Is there a fee to be on this?
No, we originally said we were gonna foot the bill for this. And at least maybe the first time we do this. Now we can potentially solicit maybe the next time. Now we can still change our minds if we want to decide to have them participate that way. But that was what we originally talked about with since it's been so long to kind of do this run first time from our standpoint. So.
And just to be very clear, Old Webster's model, there is a fee to be on it, right? That's the model that publishes that. We had talked more explicitly because the association's not fully formed about the district taking it on. And I expressed, I think the district certainly can be selective and go to a different model where not everyone's on, but in general, if we're gonna do a district-wide thing, it's usually all the districts involved, all the various players, right? But space is a concern, and so we can choose a different model. We just have to be prepared to help explain to the other businesses why the city only put these businesses on
Can
versus
you
others.
lump them into, and I don't know how it would go with everybody, but can you lump them into categories? So maybe instead of just having one, there might be two or three, so like eating and honestly, there's probably enough for just food alone. And then shopping, and then I'm sure that would leave like a third category for something else, so then people could grab which ones they wanted. And then at least that appeases everybody.
We had already talked about doing that. If you
Okay.
looked at the example that we've had previously,
Okay,
it is categories.
Okay.
The old Webster example and the one that was done in 2010 did do categories. And you'll see services is not just retail and restaurants.
I think she's talking about different brochures.
Different brochures.
Yeah, multiple brochures.
Oh, I totally did not get that from what
I'm
you were
so
saying.
sorry, I'm so sorry, yeah, I was maybe like, cause then everybody still has a brochure, and if there's too many to go into one, if maybe they're broken up into the categories, people could grab just, I don't know what the cost of that would be, I don't know. But then at least it
Not-
please
yeah.
everybody.
Not a bad thought until the second print. Let's think about the second print when things in business change. Then I mean, because I think that'd be great, except, you know, in this, if we're trying to put something that summarizes, you know, whether it's in bags or, you know, to have multiple ones, I don't know. I mean,
Well, in the second print, if things change, we would still have to change it in the original, right?
right, and so now we'd have to change all three and pull all, whatever might be three.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Yeah. And I guess maybe another option, if we don't wanna just say shopping and eating, is then maybe we should go to a paid model, and those that want to do it then have the opportunity to be in it, and therefore we're giving everybody the same opportunity, and if we get 10, we get 10, if we get 50, we get 50. But that was a.
Yes.
Okay. What if, I mean, you listed all of the businesses and services and then had a QR code on it if people wanted to, because it's the issue, like having enough information, like a description for each one, then people can get a little more floral. Yeah. Digitally.
So that in terms of digital, yes, you could put the QR code on there. We certainly, I'll get a shot here, camera shot. We'll have the new Blue Dot directory up this fall. So you'll have sort of alongside this, that business directory online. And we're providing, much like the metal sign with the Wi-Fi there, we'll be providing a branded metal sign from BDC for every shop in Old Orchard that wants one to go next to a till with a QR code so people can scan and essentially pull up the online version of your brochure. You know, that directory is a Google style map. So where do I want to go eat? You know, they'll be able to find the Frisco, they'll be able to find Big Sky, move around, what kind of food. So you could incorporate that into the brochure, right? If you wanted to make less description, more listings, you know, and such happen. I still think regardless, your 140 is gonna be so big, so many, you know what I mean? You have so many different places to fit in there. You're gonna end up you're still gonna want to make some distinction, or either a paid model distinction, or are we gonna say it's shop and eat, which is still gonna take me a lot, you know,
Yeah.
across the whole of Old Orchard. You know, I can think of 10 businesses or so right now I'd probably take out if it's not shop and eat, if it is shop and eat. But, you know,
Yeah, there's a lot of services when I looked at, we're talking, John, that when I looked at how many, if we listed them all, it's more than 140 businesses
Old Orchard.
in Old Orchard. But if you look at like the location of the old Commerce Bank building, not the new one, but the old one, there are a gazillion businesses just in that location alone. And they're not, you know, they're not storefronts, obviously, they're dentists and insurance and medical, and it's just, the list goes on and on.
I guess it's really what's the point of the brochure, right? It's more than likely, you know, trying to pull in a casual foot traffic, you know, into more want to eat, want to shop and such. So I think you're on the right path in that regard. It's just gonna have to be able to tell your fellow businesses, why aren't they listed? Why is Edward Jones not there? Why is the veterinary clinic maybe not there and such? So-
Right.
If they brought up to speed, so I'm kind of being quiet over here.
That's fine, no, no.
So the discussion is,
Well-
should this be a shop and eat, and is that fair
Well,
service?
Well,
Do
we
we-
have and we did agree to pay for it for everyone. So everyone turned out to be over 140, which won't fit. This is Old Webster's that has about 50. So how do you, either we come up with a new model and figure it out to get everybody on it or involved, or we're gonna have to change in order due to size to,
I mean, it's shop and eat.
we.
Oh,
I haven't totaled that up.
it's a big number though still. I think it's more than 50.
More than we can put into a pamphlet of the same size.
Well, I
No,
think
it could definitely,
you're just gonna get more yellow page style listing. You're not gonna get as descriptive as you are in the model that sort of had.
that one right there is about 55 businesses. And there's a description for each one. And it's shopping, dining, services, venues, and nonprofits. It's quite extensive.
But whoever paid for it, that's.
But that's right, that does not represent all the businesses in Old Webster.
Where does the money from our district come from? Does it come from the service businesses?
It does in terms of property taxes. So theoretically, those, they pay rent and property taxes and their business license if they
If they
are,
pay a
if they
business
are
license.
subject to business licensure.
Because some of them are exempt from paying for a business license. You know, like an accountant, for example, doesn't have to pay.
In terms of business licenses, shop and eat are the area where gross receipts give to your, to your districts, okay? That's the sectors that pay into that in a big way. Much of the professional services are exempt from business licensure, so they don't, by the state, so they have no mechanism other than property taxes of paying in.
And they don't pay sales tax, right?
Correct, but that doesn't fund the district out. The way the district's constituted, so.
So if we were to QR the situation, so if we totally like decide we're gonna go promotion of, you know, where it's gonna be more digital. How does that would just link back?
Correct, so well, you want me to just pop it up real quick so everyone can see. I'm gonna give you the admin view because it's the easiest one for me to get to, but this is. Yes, I know they can see my screen. Pop in the blue dot. So this is the admin side of it, but essentially, when we go down to. So these are all the businesses and then again, our view, I'm gonna throw the map view up to give you a sense, you know, we would throw a map view up of. You know, I'll just pull up Old Webster to give you a sense. Their view is that. So we would give a QR code that's centered around Old Orchard. And it can be for all the businesses, we can use for certain sectors, and that QR code would link it. They automatically open a Google map with that. And then they just run it just like Google. You know, use your fingers, go scroll around on your phone, on your tablet, whatever you're using at the till as they're walking, things like that. So, and it gives them a search function, gives them the ability to search your sales, your events that you've posted with your business, what's open. They can, anything that's closed is automatically pulled out, you know, type of thing. So.
That might be the direction to go. To, you know, maybe detail us, put the events on. And then from that standpoint, have the QR just listed there and then no one is really left out. Otherwise, where I think we'd have to go to a paid model. For those that are interested in being in the brochure. I mean, that's literally
You
the
can see,
only other way.
here's an example. There's the red dots, just from Old Orchard to Log Cabin Lane. Look at all the red dots.
Is it, and once that pulls up, sorry, I haven't looked at it.
No, that's fine.
I'm bad.
It's okay.
Does it designate categories at all or
We
anything like
do
that?
have categories. That's what you'll see. You'll see, these are inside categories,
Sure.
but you have the ability to go to, again, shopping, eating, all the categories we have in our
Sure.
current business directory, you know, so you can designate that way. Then we have some backside.
What information do you get when you click on one of those bubbles?
I'll just grab this one right there. So they're gonna see it not in this view, they're gonna see it in a different view, but they're going to get the address, the phone number, the website, if it's there, any external links, and then any events or sales and things have posted. So, and that's where a business owner comes in and puts all that in, right? They put that in when they put their business license together, or they can update it at any point. It comes to the city. We moderate it, make sure there's no naughty words getting posted, and then it goes up, right? So Katie, you're gonna be able to say, got a sale this weekend, and automatically on your page, and that way the business directory is always not static, but it's updated. You have a job posting, the Work in Webster Groves job posting will flow onto that platform as well. And we as the city don't have to enter it all. You're entering it when you put your business license together, registry for occupancy if you don't have a business license, and that data flows and you update it as you go.
And it would be actually less expensive, because I bet you it could be a 2-page brochure versus a 4.
Easy to manage too.
Mhm.
So I think a brochure is handy. I mean, I will say there are people that still they're not digital natives. They want to come, they want to walk with something. I think a brochure is good, but it gives you a chance to really pull back on the sectors you're trying to describe. If you need to describe the business and let businesses do that digitally, if you're linking to it, I would encourage you to have the link on there. It's really what we do with the print product that we're gonna have it.
Let me ask this, what's our kind of deadline? What's our goal if we want this to kick off for the first of the year? I mean, 'cause we'll talk about that. We don't want this to be another, with the poles and the flag.
Well, I mean, I think
So
I think we're at that point.
You're going back-
Yeah,
Why are we going
yeah.
back in
I think we're at
history?
that point where you're
Yeah.
you're obviously looking to 25, right? If you're gonna throw any events on there that are gonna happen in the district, I think Old Webster does that on the back panel, right? They
Yes.
have the event.
Yeah, and what they've gone with is there's no dates. It's the third Saturday of November, and you guys have established the same thing. The holiday festival is always the first Saturday in December. So that allows you then to bring it out whenever you want. That's brand new. That's just coming out. That's hot off the presses and it's August. It just depends. And then that was done intentionally. So you wouldn't have to worry about when you did it.
Yeah, because they event
So you're-
calendar for
it's flexible.
24. Yeah. So this is dated for them.
They-
Event.
they-
It's an annual.
It's an
The
annual.
only thing that's dated is what year it came out.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's up to you all. I don't.
I guess another thing was, what was the initial reason why we brought this up? Was this something that, and it's how it's used in Old Webster, you're at a particular business and I want to eat, what can I walk to? Or what, I'm looking for something else, and they grab that and they give it to the person. If that is still the intention that we started with, or if it's changed to something else, that's okay, but that would decide what you want to do. Personally, I think it would be nice to be able to give it out at the holiday festival, but I don't know if we can pull it together by then. Depends on what you end up doing, I guess. Otherwise,
Who typically writes the content?
the outside panels is usually done by a couple of people in the subcommittee. But all of the inside information is submitted by each individual business. I do edit it, sometimes for space, because some people do submit a novel.
No offense, Holland.
But each person, when they opt in, they submit what they want to say.
My opinion, or why I brought it up in the first place, was that I think like what it was traditionally in the past, which seems like it was more than shop and eat. I
It was in
think
the
these are
past, it was.
historically like an easy way, they've been around for 40, 50 years, right? And I feel like I've had them in lots of districts around places where I've gone, we were grabbing it, it just gives you a quick understanding of what's happening in the district. It typically is for shoppers and eaters, so for people who are like, oh, I didn't even know there was a Cake Pops and Boozy Bites place down the street, right? And I get that a lot, even just within the little corridor that I'm in. People are like, yeah, what is Field Theory? Like, you never like just walk across the street, like, you should go across the street. And so I think that was my original thought or intention, and I feel like they're often used for. It sounds like we would have to go to a paid model. There'd be no reason to not have, if we're gonna do anything, to do a paid model, because then you can just opt in or you don't, right? And it doesn't affect the pamphlet at all. So then those who do want to be listed and get their name out there for retail shoppers, which there's starting to become quite a few, especially down past Minnesota Telly Tire. Down in there in Budalia and across the street, all the way to Allen neighborhood, I think there's 4, 5, or 6 there on that south side of the north side. What's that?
East side.
It's kind of odd today. Yeah. That's just my, I'd like to be able to opt in, and I think I was hoping to give awareness to all of those retail shoppers. We need awareness to the dentist. I guess you have to be fair, but
I guess we do if we're paying for it.
correct.
Well, so I want to be clear, the association, if you do an opt-in model where people pay, the district can still subsidize something for the association. It was wholly, if we're gonna hold it clear on the district side, what's the reason? We need it, the district, i.e. the city, same entity, needs an understandable reason and a defensible reason why these sectors are included and these aren't. You know what I mean? If everyone's paying theoretically into the basket, that's being paid for them. So that's really, we need to understand that. Now, space is a reason, right? You can't put everyone in with these kind of descriptors. So, but if we all say, you know what, yellow pages is fine, and it looks like the yellow pages, then we print the yellow pages, so.
And if you want to use this as a model, and then I keep referring back to it because we've been doing it for so long and it is successful. Old Webster has more just because they're bigger geographically, and it is a paid, so I guess you should say opt-in model, but yet there's not all of them. It's only 50 people have opted in. So it's potentially, if you applied that logic, you could end up with the same ability to have more descriptors.
Depending on how many people opt in.
Correct, exactly.
So it sounds like opt-in model. It is.
Abby,
And you could still have a
Colin,
QR code. on
opt
it.
in, not opt in.
I mean,
Oh, go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead.
I sometimes like the opt-in because then that way, if people don't care, then we're not wasting space, if that doesn't sound rude.
Okay, Abby?
I'm okay with either, but I think Hallen's right. Like if they don't care, then you know what I mean? Like, there's probably gonna be a handful of businesses that aren't gonna do it. But there'll be a handful that will. That makes sense.
Opt in.
Opt-in?
Yes.
Okay, so now we've decided we're an opt-in model. So, how's that approach then?
So an opt-in model means that the association is going to collect funds of some type, right? So I'm gonna look back to Fran and to John so that there's gonna be some non-city activity in terms of creating here's what you're getting and here's how to sign up. Fran, I'm looking at you, is that good?
Yes,
Okay, so from the city side, if you want the district to subsidize, to throw some money behind to the association, can do. You just let us know what you're thinking. I mean, you have plenty of money in your fund balance, $100,000 or more, to throw some money back to the association to help subsidize the backside of it all. But I think the opt-in still gives you that option with the businesses, so.
Okay. Real quick, what do they charge or ask for their piece for Old Webster, do you know?
it's $150. It gives them membership in the association and the listing in the directory. It's an annual, so we call it dues. And it's an annual assessment.
Now I'm gonna combine that with your conversation about the association. You're going to need members in your association to fund that, at least the basic pieces of it. The district can always subsidize, but you're gonna need some money from that as well. It's a great model to use in that way.
Do we have to have the association to put out a pamphlet?
Which we waited until to get here to talk about the association.
So you have an association, you just have an association that isn't recognized by the state yet.
I understand on
Yeah.
what am I in the association?
You're the top, man. You're the man.
You're both top and the bottom.
So I was asked to be the check signer or put the checking account in my name, and now
You're running
something that I'm
the
not
whole
able to really put
thing,
my,
right?
I don't know if we're gonna get people that already collapsed and failed once, right? When we had more motivated people than we currently have.
When they left, from
Well-
what I understand, when
The association dissolved, I guess you could say, in 2015. Because the people that were the officers and the active members retired and moved out of the district. So, no, the remaining folks that were still in the district didn't fill those gaps.
I guess I haven't seen since I've been involved, small business owners that are jumping to give more of their time in life.
Well, now you've got the point where you've got so many new folks in there that they don't even know that there was an association way back when. I mean, when you looked at the brochure, the last time it was done was 2010.
So you're saying we need to go on a recruiting mission?
Yes.
And to Eric's point, that if we do something as being induced, that they now become a member of this, that's how old.
It's a way to get them to be like, oh, look at, you're a member.
Yes.
And you get this catalog, or and you get this pamphlet.
Yeah,
Right, and there are some, if you look at some of the services folks in there, Farnsworth is a good example. They don't actively do anything with events, but they want to support the district and they pay every year and they want to be listed in the directory. You'll have some of those.
I mean, I'm in.
Dan Warner, property owner, he's in there. So, yeah,
so this is now
And-
combined into the item we,
If you choose the exact same
Yeah.
model, right? I mean, it's sort of, this is your thing. You take membership in the Old Orchard Merchant and Business Association, whatever the name is. And now you're part of the annual brochure, right? It comes with your names. So
Right.
So similar to gazebo sponsorships, do we just get a list of everybody and start reaching out to them and saying, hey, and then at some point
Correct.
you can come to me and say, these people aren't in, and I'll send my people over to talk to them and.
in fact, I would use the same exact list as my initial mail out that I put together for a gazebo series. I just wouldn't invite people that are not in Old Orchard.
so what we're combining now to summarize is that is actually B that we skipped over, because I wanted to wait for you to be here. And so that was that we are not registered with the state because it is kind of dissolved, so we have to physically create this in a sense and get it legally registered, which is gonna require officers in the organization to do so, basically, because that organization is what puts on the gazebo series. So,
And theoretically, the holiday
and
festival.
the holiday
yeah.
festival
So-
and all.
To give everyone the backstory, the backside, Old Webster Trade Association, which puts out the Old Webster brochure and does a lot of the events that you see in Old Webster. You've had a counterpart to that in Old Orchard in the past. It is no longer registered with the state. Not hard to do, just need to reconstitute things. You do have a checking account, that outside entity. John is the signer now. That's what pays for gazebo series and the bills. The districts are subsidizing those outside associations. So the city essentially through that, having that outside association, you have events put on. They carry the commercial liability coverage, which is great from the city's perspective. Somebody is a liable party there. But problem of not having an entity, if you just put it on, is the persons that are actually on the committee making that event happen now are the liable parties, right? Somebody drives through that event, kills people, who's liable, right? City's always gonna be sued somehow. We're gonna be in that party, but the city would like to have, who's that non-government entity that is the partner at these events and such like that, and helping to promote the trade. And also then, what the things you need to promote, the city's not making the decisions. When we say no on something, we have to have reasons to say no. An outside association has a whole different schematic of what it needs to defend to its members or not, right? In terms of why they're involved in the event or not. So there's the city's desire, and in our conversations here, and I think in the past, is to have an outside entity partnered with the Old Orchard District that does those things. And we support that, we subsidize that with funding, but it is an outside entity's event, like the gazebo series is. The holiday festival would be fully transitioned that way. That doesn't mean the city steps back. We're still involved in all those things. As Old Webster knows, we're there. We close down streets. We do all the things we would do. It's just somebody else is really the key committee stakeholders to make things happen. You are not registered with the state. The city is paying the bill and has the city attorney's firm involved in that process. I know Chuck Billings is a partner in the firm, wants to have a meeting.
With John and I, we haven't
Yep.
met yet.
So, but it's we've talked from the city, like, here's our desire, here's what we've got. This is what we know, and things we don't know, we just need to fill in. So it's really now the association needs, who are the key officers for the constituting of the association. The names should line up to the checkbook, obviously. And then file the documents with the state, create the corporate bylaws for the association, file it with the state. State recognizes it, and then really it's, you know, the association takes it from there. You have some meetings, just like the Old Webster Trade Association has, of you bring those businesses together and the members. So we want to do the holiday festival, we want to do gazebo series. What else do we want to do? What other events? Maybe that's it. That's fine. Just who are the key stakeholders on an outside of the city perspective that are running these things and pulling them together. Sorry, I didn't mean to turn my back to you, Abby and Holland.
And you know, it's a nonprofit, it's an actual 501c6, not C3 organization.
And we will commit, the city will commit to helping you get that designation as well with the attorneys.
So in order to move on to get that completed, so obviously if we're going this direction or discuss going that direction, this has to be taken care of first anyway.
Yes,
Yes, but it's a lot in parallel there.
Yeah,
You
it
can
is a lot
still
in
go out and
Yeah.
solicit for this and pull the members in. It's really just, we know that people that are gonna sign up for this now are really paying dues. And that we
Yes.
need to instruct the attorney to construct the bylaws in a way to recognize that dues, you know, may include that or are paid, you know, at whatever level and such.
Are there any objections to going that model for this brochure from anybody? Okay. I don't think unless we want to have formal motions and things, can I ask it that way?
That's fine, that's fine.
Okay,
Great.
okay. So that's the direction we'll move, is to start creating that group and art organization by the dues, so now they'll become members of that. So then how do we get the board established?
So they'll need at least 3 officers to constitute the new association. Now, I'm making a huge assumption. I don't want to look at John, but John has been my contact, so John was going to be one of them. But it needs someone else who's going to be vice president usually and a secretary treasurer. You know, at least those 3. You've all created a business in a way, right? You're doing the same thing. It's a corporate entity. You're filing for it with the state. So we need officers because it is not a single ownership and it's not a partnership. It's a corporate entity that has to prove that there's not a one vested interest. It's a interest across the entirety of the Old Orchard district.
So the soon to be president, do you have anybody in mind? Any honestly, is there other business people who are wanting to get involved that you know of that wants to be,
It stressed to me that they have a lot of extra time to.
Well,
give to
and
something.
let's talk
What
about
is-
time. I don't know that there's going to be,
Yeah, what is the responsibility?
So-
of this?
I think we'll have to establish
Yes.
meetings and minutes and,
People are paying dues to receive this pamphlet. There's probably gonna be other questions.
So I think membership, so I want to be very clear. The city through the district and Old Webster subsidizes the district from a Fran's work, some of Fran's work, and some of that the association picks up outside of the meetings that we're having right here. We can subsidize through the district budget to the association. I think that really the association members have meetings. Fran, I'm gonna look at you for Old Webster. They have meetings.
we have monthly meetings.
And they do some volunteer duties, right? Don't think you need to run at the speed of Old Webster to start, right? Maybe it's, we have a board and we've got 2 events, gazebo series and the holiday festival is what we're putting on. And then it's really what else comes up and bubbles up out of the woodwork.
They have subcommittees for each event. So, the quarterly girls' night out events that they have. It's a business owner that. And I work with everybody, but I'm the only paid employee of the association. Everything else is done by the members. So, how much they do or don't do is, do we want to continue doing this? Do we want to start something new? They're trying to do something new this December. But since this is so new and starting out, just focusing on a couple of things, and then see how things go.
and it's a formality right now that we need to get established, and then things can change and who can change on officers and such,
All
it's like a normal.
Yeah,
So
there's an officer election every year.
you're president. I'll be vice if you stay president. I will go and then how's that? We got 2 down.
You're more
I
than
can
happy.
check with some of my staff. I don't bet. We got to get past opening this romance room this weekend. And then after that, I bet I could find somebody on our staff that might be interested.
Did you say a romance room?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, hey, look at that. Valentine's in August. I love it.
You're wrong.
Okay, all right, so then we'll table this, Holland, and we'll check back with you.
Yep, I'll make a note right now.
And I want to be, fundamentally clear. The district doesn't need to act on anything with this, other than you've already agreed that the district is covering the get this going cost. So it's really going to be, as Chuck writes these documents, our member of our city attorney firm, who do we put in those key places where we need the constituting stakeholders and such, the officers and that. Again, officers' elections can be scheduled. He's gonna ask you, when do you want to have your annual meeting? Is it January? Is it February? Is it August?
We'll have to have
Go back to-
bylaws,
yeah,
we'll
all
have
that,
to have
yeah.
all those things established.
We need to have that set in place to
No.
start the,
Nope, we
So
can
let's
start
try to
soliciting that.
yeah, let's
Yeah.
move that forward as quickly as we can, I think.
I think-
The idea of getting it done by the holiday, because there'll be
It's a
that many
good
more people
opportunity.
running through, it'll give
Right.
us a little more momentum into next year, right?
I think our big challenge becomes something happens bad at the events you have coming up, right? That's when, the city's at the backstop of this, but ultimately, who's running that event? But then number two, should the IRS ever say, what's this money sitting over here for this organization that doesn't exist, right? Now it becomes a question of who's this money, right? Who's this entity? What is this entity? Is it a taxable entity? That's a concern, right? You haven't been, you're not an entity that exists, so you definitely are not yet a nonprofit entity.
Is that moving forward? Is that
That's the registration. You have to be registered and then you can apply for that nonprofit.
So we're 9 years of having this liability.
It's just sort of hanging out there.
The bank, when I transferred over, they did want some documentation, and I said, oh, we're working on that. So.
So yes, that'll be part of this process going forward, but you have to be an entity to be registered entity to even try to get the nonprofit status, the C6 status, so.
Alrighty,
Old Webster will do the same thing. I want to be clear, right? I think John.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So they,
In fact, one of the members that's a lawyer is the one that took care of you have to file with them on an annual basis to keep up your status.
alright. So real quick to tie up the brochure, what's our next approach then? How do we approach getting this moving forward?
Solicit businesses to be in it. They'll have to be explained what we're trying to do. How much do you want to be your initial charge?
Okay, let's table it for a moment. Because of what we're getting ready to do, at least we could come back and make a pitch of what we think it needs to be. It's I don't think it's worthy of the time to hash that piece out at the moment, right? So let's see, get us registered. You get the group, say, what do we want to do? And say, can we do this? And
I
what do we
think-
want?
I think you're gonna need to decide a time. I mean, registration can happen quickly, but
Okay.
I mean, if you all have to have a meeting to decide what your dues are, I would say it's 150.
You
I would
should-
subsidize this and say somewhere between 75 and 100. Put the rest of the cost on the district.
Okay,
Right, 75 to 100, at least this year, starts off the brochure and gets you
And then-
dues in the membership. And then you guys can set the dues and,
okay,
you know what I'm saying, for the next round.
And the sales pitch, my sales pitch, at least my opinion towards it would be that the $100 is really going towards a brochure.
For sure,
Right,
because
you want to be in this
you
brochure,
gotta print it.
and it also gets you into the trade association.
Exactly, and that's exactly how,
The trade
They
association is
maintain it.
really kind of nothing, and I'm already thinking of myself as president and the pressure towards like, what is the trade association doing for us? And I'm thinking, same thing it was doing for no fee for the last 9 years. Right.
okay, so we have $100. Anybody opposed to the $100? So, $100.
Obviously, coming from the association, Fran, will you put together the pitch document for them?
yes, I
Okay,
can.
there we go.
Alrighty,
Who's the
And,
subcommittee to help with back panels?
I would just use the same graphic artist that we use for gazebo series, which
Yeah.
is a local person. She's the one that I get the pricing that we talked to, because all those prices still apply. All the things that we talked about, distribution wise, that sort of thing. Recognizing that I don't work for free. Don't want anybody to be surprised.
We wouldn't exclude.
I think first year understanding, we know that the district side is going to pick up Fran's bill, right? That the association doesn't have a full checkbook, built to fund it to pay her. So we understand that these startup costs, I've sort of included that in get the association registered and back going, that Fran's gonna have some work to do. That's really association work that we're gonna subsidize through, so.
So you're running with getting the pitch going for us.
Yes,
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on. That covered quite a bit. Gazebo series next.
Gazebo series, I have an update with Fran, as I haven't heard, so she's gonna be like, oh boy. We did have we had a great meeting about Jazz Fest and a couple other meetings. I want to be very clear that the police department has a growing concern about safety at public events out near the right of ways. And obviously the first event is our kid night, is that what we call it?
yeah, family
And so
night.
we've added a whole row of barricades along Big Bend to sort of help give children a visual, don't run out into Big Bend, and such, obviously with some of the speeds there. The police department is requiring for the gathering of people in the park there at Gazebo to have 2 officers on staff on each evening. So they are recruiting that. What that means is that they take the normal patrols remain staffed and they add people in on overtime for these events. So like Jazz Fest, it's 10 people all day long, right? It's a big event, a lot of the cost. That's going to be ultimately for next year, you need to plan Gazebo series, you have to pick up that cost. Okay. I said this is too close to the event. City's going to pick that cost up. We're going to cut the association a check for $50 an hour for each of those officers for each night. The association is going to get a check from the city and you're going to need to cut checks for the officers. It's not the city who pays the officers, it's the event organizers who pay. They literally, here's your check, for being here for how many hours. So we have 8 nights with 2 nights of people. 6 nights, 2 nights, what are they, 3 hours, 4 hours?
So, well, we close off the road
Yeah.
at 5.
Yeah.
And we won't open it up again until everybody's loaded
Right.
out at 10, but the performance is 7 to 8:30.
Yeah, so I'm guessing 4 or 5 hours of time, whatever we say for the officers to help really make sure traffic and people don't step out in the roadways and such. So that's gonna be, 6 times 2 times that many hours, that's a chunk of change. So you need to plan the budget next year in a model that includes that cost. And that's a change of philosophy at top. It's the new police chief, right? And it's part of our policy at the city. We've had the established events policy that cost is sent out. Now, I understand you're a city sponsored event and you get a lot of the other things for free, but the police cost is not included in that. So that's just a model change that you're gonna have to appreciate for next year. But this year, because it's so close to the event, the city will cut a check to the association. And then the association is gonna have to cut checks to the officers for each of those events. Captain Spear will provide you the names of who's been assigned or picked up those shifts.
So just to understand for the future, probably 2 police officers, maybe 4 hours each, $50, we're
Yeah.
talking $400.
An event. So, yeah. I don't think it's a big deal. I
Roll that
mean,
into the budget.
you roll it into the budget, you pass it on, but I wanted to make you aware that
Sure.
it is a change of philosophy. In the past, that Gazebo series hasn't had police officers. But judging from
No.
the speed, and some of the things we see down that area, Lieutenant Weimer, Captain Spear, Chief Aceves, we all sat in this room and talked about Jazz Fest and just in general, the other events where we have major closures near major streets that. we want police staff. Want police staff there to be able to help make sure we don't have darting on the traffic or help deter it as much as we can. Sorry to find any link for it. I want to make sure I captured it.
no, you
Okay.
cleared it up.
So for the first performance, which is coming up this Friday, I had requested some additional barricades to put along the Big Bend side because of the extra amount of little children. And it's not going to totally block it, it's more of a reminder. And last year, we didn't do that and it ended up being a parent barricade. So my question, I guess, is, do we need, based on this new philosophy, do we need to have that at every performance?
No, they didn't think so. They agreed with the concept of the kid night, right?
Right.
Sort of visual barriers. They're just the A-frame sawhorses,
Right.
set along the sidewalk there to keep kids from jumping out into the sidewalk and traffic. That may change possibly next year, but they did not have any problems this year with
Okay.
just a roving police presence to help. Some traffic comes, around that corner, pretty good clip, so.
Yeah, and I think the additional more, we're gonna have a more substantial barrier blocking off the street. Cause last year I had a person got out of his car, moved the barrier and drove down the street, and we still have people and equipment, and so now we have a more substantial barrier. It's gonna be a little
So
harder
we
to do
have
that.
street closures now, essentially, a major street closure, like we would consider the Big Bend Lockwood, right at Nearings to be. You have what are called type 3 barricades, tall ones that are reflective and much more visible are going to be put up. And essentially, they can be moved as well, but it's really to be, we're not playing here. Don't
Right.
come down through here. There may also be, because you're having officers, they may park a vehicle there now to prevent, just drive-throughs. I mean, we have to think about those things. Most of the events Jazz Fest will have, as you've seen, have had cop cars parked, in places.
Right.
Digital Strikes Pickleball, when they're closing Gore, is going to have cars parked to prevent
Good idea.
vehicles from plowing through the event. So that doesn't stop all things, right? But it's really meant to slow down and get people who aren't paying attention,
Yeah, because we fill up that street with people at the performances. Okay,
On with the police car.
that's an
I think
excellent idea.
I think it's supposed.
Cool.
Any other updates on the depot?
The list that you have in front of you is the list of our sponsors this year.
Is that where they're last?
To me, it looked long, but the graphic artist says that it's about the same, because I was concerned we might have to make some changes in the printed stuff. But she says she's working on it, so, but she's good. There's new folks on there and there's some folks that didn't return, so and then there's some standard ones. And there are one from Crossroads who is Lock Hair, formerly Naturally Pure Salon. She's a former Old Orchard business. And she's in it, this is the first time she's been doing it since she moved to the Crossroads Business District. And there's two businesses there in Old Webster. Because I basically solicited the entire city. Eric was kind enough to provide me with a list and I used it. But we're all set. Don't leave, I need you to sign a check to pay the performance.
Okay, moving on, talk about the holiday festival. Had no takers on subcommittees. Eric, real quick question. We talked about movie and a screen.
Yep, can do.
Okay.
So I mean, with the city, excuse me, at least I, in my program of work, have known that the city's gonna be heavily involved in the holiday festival.
Right.
So we've got all the lights ordered. We've ordered extra new lights, the new lit ornaments for the Murdoch Avenue Bridge, which has power as well. So you're gonna have more lights in your district added. We've got the park lights all ready. We can add a movie in the screen if you want to do that, to fill that time between Santa and, the show. We can
Right.
easily add that. So
How about the movie process?
the movie process, we decide what movie, and I just need the film rights are easy. It's a
Okay.
simple, easy thing. Parks already has the whole music licensing because of music. They play around in different things. So
Yeah.
we just add in one film and they contacted the folks. It's very simple to do on our.
Okay.
So
Fran and I kind of met for lunch yesterday to talk about some of these things, so I had a good understanding and all of that too. We talked about a lot last meeting, and I had a thought to kind of make things simple and didn't know if anybody was going to chime in for things, but especially to get kind of this first year going a little bit more, or a second year, I should say, from kicking everything off. To try and get more businesses and people involved, obviously that's that we know what that's like to try and do. I was thinking, and the animal hospital is fine to foot the bill, is to make Christmas swag bags and ask for the businesses to contribute whatever they want to put in it. Then that way, maybe that's a way to get them to start without having time and effort. Now, if they want to bring pens or magnets, or, we'll put dog treats in, or, coupon to come shop, or coupon off food, or do whatever, just to promote, then that way, maybe that's something where people will be more willing to do that versus having to, sit down, have a meeting. What are you gonna do for the holiday? I mean, if we build the schedule, then that's something that maybe would help. So that was a thought. We talked about potentially having Christmas stories. So if you fill the time between, because the movie might need to wait and start when it's getting darker. I don't know how that all, so. I mean, we have the time kind of set, but
Santa was 10 to 12 to noon? Noon to-
Last year they were noon to 2. He has agreed to come from 11 to 2 if we wanted to.
So essentially I have 11 to 2 and 2 to about 4:30. Did the kids start
Yes,
singing?
and Show Starters has committed to performing again.
So that's about 4:30, right?
Yes.
4:30, they start, they do their program, and then that's right about time when the lights turn on. And then after the lights are on, that's really the ending of the event. That's the big climax. So you really have about 2 to, or somewhere around 2 to that 4:30
would
mark.
a movie be visible during that time?
We can make it visible. I think so. I think it's, it's not dark screen, darkness around you like a movie theater, but I think we can. Now, if it's a very bright sunny day, I know we may have to tent the screen to make it,
Okay.
work, but we've got
Okay.
some of that stuff.
Okay, so then that makes it kind of simple.
I think it makes it simple that way.
Yeah.
Movie's not 2.5 hours total, but we threw Christmas music on and just sort of let it play and people stopped by and took pictures and things like that, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, does anybody oppose to the time frame and putting a movie? Great, any suggestions that you want to have? I think Elf should be played, but that's just me. So, yeah.
Second that.
Is
Yeah.
Elf too, I don't, do you want something more juvenile? I mean, Elf has some adult themes and moments, so.
It's true, I don't care, it was just, it's
Yes,
a funny,
I know, yeah.
So
Definitely
we,
not Christmas vacation.
no.
No, we'll get your
No
Christmas
Christmas
vacation, I don't think so.
vacation.
The radio flyer.
I mean, we
I
can
know,
even
okay.
look at other Christmas stuff, I mean, that can be determined later, but I guess.
Polar Express is always a very, very common one that you see at community Christmas
I don't have a
gatherings.
problem with that either, I mean, it's.
It's very safe, but also it feeds kids and adults, right?
Yeah,
I always get
that's
the
a
warm
good call.
fuzzies every time I see it, so.
It's a good call, so,
White Christmas, I love that movie, but it's a little outdated, a lot of the social themes, and I don't know if that would be very good, so,
Just a tad.
yeah. Renee, any thoughts? It's a wonderful.
That's a good
Yeah.
one. Go with
That's
the
my
classic.
favorite.
Miracle on 34th
Miracle.
Street.
Go with
The original.
classic.
The original.
Yeah.
any thoughts on the holiday? Are we good to go with this kind of process? Do you have a problem with the bag situation? I mean, it was just something that I thought would be a piece of cake that.
We're handing
and-
them out at the park then?
Yeah, so like
Okay.
swag bags, I'm happy to say dump all the stuff off at the animal hospital. I'll get the bags together. If, I guess I would ask for thoughts on how many bags. We'll do red and green, just something like that. And then whatever anybody wants to put in them for this year, then they'll be like, well, wait, I want to do something next year, or just to get an interest without a lot of work. It was just an idea. And we don't have to go with that, but I just thought it's a few bags.
It's the only idea brought up. So
Well, I know, but
I think everyone obviously in December, shop owners have you all know, you have your things you have to do, right? I mean, it's a busy time and it's your time that you really should capitalize and make some profit. I get it. I think whatever's easiest, right? If that's easiest for everyone, I think it will work fine. I'm looking at Fran. I don't think there's any reason people wouldn't stop and pick them up.
Oh, I think that's true.
Yeah, and last year you supported old Starbucks hot chocolate
Oh, free kitty hot
for any
chocolate.
kid who came to Santa
Santa gave
Fe.
out coupons.
We can easily do that.
okay.
And then we talked about, should we do a food donation across the district type thing? That takes some effort as well. Toys for Tots takes effort. We don't have to do that.
Well,
Let's start
the
with
other,
that.
and I forgot about that honestly, the other thing we could do, because I know that Steve offered to do Toys for Tots. Fran mentioned that there's a business and she was gonna kind of check into it that does their coat drive.
And I
So,
thought maybe also talk to the new business that's a toy store. The
Yeah.
little,
and somebody else does a food drive.
yeah, usually Fire and Fawcett does a food drive.
We could do pet food, so I mean, we could put stations up there just to say, come and give, and have all kind of a.
Has anybody ever done a sock tree? A sock tree?
No.
And,
Or mitten tree.
yeah, and you need the socks, you take the socks.
No.
And a sock tree. Because a lot of times people don't have socks. Mhm.
That's a good idea too.
And just a reminder, like Webster, Rock Hill Ministries, that they do huge holiday programming and they always need food, so. Talking about a local donation, get contributing to locally.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth even, and I guess it'd be nice if we'd be able to promote that when we do, so
Yeah.
if we could.
So I think really our goal in bringing up the talk of a drive of some type was not just to have it at Gazebo Park, but literally as we advertise it, the businesses in Old Orchard will have a box, right? That
Right.
drops things off. Now, that means somebody has to go pick up said box and provide a box and things like that, but if we can talk to the ministries, if that's like, if you want to do a food drive, we can talk to the ministries. Do you have collection boxes? Can we put them out? Who wants them? And it's just a matter of then what businesses will have them, and we promote that as part of the event, so. Sock tree we could do, we could do all of those things. It's really, what do y'all want to do? I don't want to be the city just deciding what you do with your event, so.
And I mean, I'm happy to get something put together that can go in the bags to say all of these
Right.
locations have whatever. I mean, it doesn't take that much to throw a mini brochure to shove in the bag together. So if it's something we can pursue, then
Mhm.
as the sole committee person, we'll pursue it. How's that? Okay, great. Any other?
So I'm gonna put a pitch out that she doesn't have to be the sole person on the committee. She could have.
Right now, the committee's right here.
She could.
I'll be soliciting for sure. Hey, can you?
Especially like the newer shops, right? Like if you.
Yeah, and I thought this year at least asking for this, they might say, well, what can we do? And so if it's this, we can kind of make the decisions this year and see what the interest is. And then, but I don't want to not, if you all have opinions, I don't want you to not voice them.
Well, I'm standing in for Pam, but I'll pull my sustainability hat out. Just if the swag bags could not be plastic, that
Sure.
would help the earth. It'd be awesome.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. For what it's worth.
Yeah, no, happy to. Alrighty. Anything else with holiday? We'll go on to new business. We have got a few things.
I don't have any new business other than to say, again, our transition, Renee's looking at me like, what's all this stuff you didn't tell me about for this month? This
She's making her list.
I know, right? Yeah. The transition, I expect, Renee will be talking. I will be with you for some time, but at some point Renee will take over more of this, the updating and this world, probably around Christmas. Your event through December has always been something I've handled with Fran, so I anticipate sort of once that happens, really Renee is really stepping into that future world into January, February, so.
City update.
Sergeant Flannery, do you have anything to start? I'm sorry, Councilmember Hessmeyer, I'm sorry. Who's still in for Councilmember Bliss? I was looking around for Pam and then
Yeah.
over here. So.
I just a note of thanks to all of you for dedicating your time to this. We broke ground last week on the water park, very exciting stuff happening there. And they're using the skate park right now as a staging zone, so unfortunately our skate park is not in use right now, but that'll be redesigned and refigured in 2025, so that's also really cool. The city hall is hosting a school supply drive. So if you happen to be out and about at your favorite big box store, pick up a few notebooks and folders and you can drop them off here. And then also there is a composting survey. I haven't done it yet, so shame on me, but that the Sustainability Commission is asking for people to weigh in on.
Microminutes.
Oh, yeah, thanks. And the GDA micro grants, thank you for that. I knew I was forgetting something. The Green Dining Alliance, we're trying to make Webster a green dining district. The Sustainability Commission. That is a really cool opportunity. It gives our Webster area more regional kind of I don't know, bragging rights of like being sustainable. And this is just a really great program that the BDC and sustainability teamed up on. And so restaurants can reach out and apply for 2 levels of grants. There's like $1,000 grant, a $3,000 level grant. And then it covers also being a part of the GDA has a fee, but the city covers that as part of that grant program. And so it's just a really incredible opportunity to kind of speak our values. It's really exciting. And I think MakePop has already put their submission
We have
is.
another as well that came in, but so it's not just for restaurants, for any
Yes.
food service business. So a bakery, if you're committed to the green dining principles, which is really reduction of, a lot of reduction of waste, you know, not just composting, but what kind of to-go packaging you're having and such, sustainability factors. And then if you're looking at energy efficiency, you're talking, you want to put new LED fixtures in, you want to go to an electric, you know, new electric range or something, that recharge grant can go for the $3,000 grant. So as you're thinking about things, look at it. It's a very simple grant. We're not, the Green Dining Alliance comes in and helps you do your certification and what are your steps. And we're providing that micro grant to help you move along the way. But it's not like the city's coming in auditing books and all that. It's a simple micro grant. We want to get this money out, and it's to help inspire folks to take those green steps in their dining practices and food service practices. Webster Ewing. Comments can go that way.
Yes. Yeah, so that's it. Thanks.
Sergeant Flannery, we good over with parking? All right, parking's good.
I have an update, hiring update, so we will have 2 new directors starting next week, which definitely impacts the business district, our new planning director, as well as our public works director. So both start on Monday. We're very excited. Having the ability to bring.
I think our planning director, a wealth of experience.
He's currently the director of planning and zoning for the county of St. Charles. He's been the planning director in Urbana, Illinois. He is nationally known. He came in, he knows Webster very, very well. He was quoting projects and asking about projects, so we're extremely excited about him. The gentleman from for Public Works was the former director for the U City for 10 years. He's done public and private work. So right now he left U City, went back into the private sector, and now he's coming back into the public sector. He also very familiar with Webster and extremely excited to be joining the team. So we're excited. A lot of new things on the horizon, and just excited to have the ability to get back up to par and serve the business district in the manner that you guys deserve.
I don't know.
Okay, anything for anybody else? Well, thank you, everybody. Our next meeting is September 10th. Do I have a motion for?
Real quick, September 10th, Police Chief Aceves will be here for his introduction to the business district. So if you all want to join, the new police chief will join us.
So be live,
He'll be live in the room.
so.
Yeah.
So come in person.
Yeah, all right. So our next meeting, September 10th. I have a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion.
Second. Anybody opposed? Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.